The Florida Podcast Network, the voice of Florida.
This is episode 26 of the Finding Florida podcast on the Florida Podcast Network. The essentials of wrestling, plus Justine Griffin reports from the Tampa Bay Times.
Welcome to Finding Florida, the podcast that takes you from country to the coast. Join your tour guides, an unlikely pair, City Girl Jemmy and Country Boy Glenn, as they explore the amazing sights and sounds of the Sunshine State.
On this episode, we chat about what surprising activity DeSantis has deemed an essential business. Then Justine Griffin from the Tampa Bay Times joins us to talk about coronavirus's impact on Florida, in particular, one of its biggest industries, restaurants like her dad's in Port Richey. Then, to help us all through this quarantine craziness, she'll share a Florida-inspired drink from a clip from her podcast, Heels Down Happy Hour on Horse Radio Network. You may have heard of that one once or twice, or 13,000 times before. Plus, we'll have new segments for listener favorites, Community Clipboard and Florid-DUH. And with some found footage, we take a quick trip down memory lane that lands us in the middle of current pop fame. Listen in. All right, Glenn, so it's time for you to give us a little bit of an update on some closings and some shutting downs but maybe some openings. Anything going on? Craziness like that? Nothing crazy like that. We're not reopening after all this, are we, Glenn? What's going on?
Not yet. Everything's still closed. My report is done. Pretty much all horse events in the world have been canceled for the next, and actually a lot of them are being canceled now through the summer, which is a big change since we talked last week. We're starting to see them go out further. There's something that opened up here in Florida, and that is professional wrestling. So apparently the governor deemed that professional wrestling is an important activity to happen in Florida right now. He said that employees at professional sports and media production with a national audience, as long as the location is close to the general public. Now, I don't know how they're going to do professional wrestling 6 feet apart. It could be interesting. I know it's fake. But I feign surprise. That's going to look really fake.
Really fake. I feign surprise for two reasons. One, because it's Florida and we're talking about wrestling and nothing's to surprise me. Any way you formulate a sentence around those two things. Number one. Number two, because I actually did know this, and I chatted with world boxing champion Shannon Briggs for People of Florida about why the wrestling is opening up again, because he's a fighter. I'm like, I know it's a different kind of ring, but does this make sense to you? He's like, no.
To make you feel better, they're going to test the fighters and the managers and all those people that are around the ring. They're going to test them once a week.
Oh,
now, the general public
that's
that are
settling.
Sick can't get a test, but they're gonna.
I'm sorry.
So yeah,
they test in the porn industry more often than that. Come on, there's a virus going around. What are you doing?
Well, professional wrestlers don't get close to each other. It's fine, and they don't sweat or
nothing, no
blood or anything,
nothing like that. No bodily fluids whatsoever. I
got to admit,
problem.
This story hit the national news and made Florida look like a bunch of bubbling idiots again.
Come on. It's the headlines that look like they were written by a fifth grader, except they're true.
It is giving the press something easy to write about. They're like, if we have nothing really fun to talk about today, let's look at Florida.
Oh, boy.
So I do have another bit of news on the sports front. And tourism here for baseball is huge.
Yeah, you're right. A lot of spring training.
Yeah, spring break. Half the teams play here, half the teams play in Arizona. And, and of course, spring break. I know so many people that come down here and spend a month watching every spring break game. And of course, Tampa's a hotbed for that. Down where you are is a hotbed for that.
Mm-hmm.
Fort Myers, all over the place, basically. Well, Governor DeSantis. Oh, sorry. DeSantis. I don't even know his name. I just call him the Florida man. He's now become the Florida man. He's open to having baseball be held in Florida. And this is what they're talking about now. So what they're talking about is holding the whole season in Florida and Arizona. They're talking about making up new leagues. So basically half the teams practice here and half the teams practice in Arizona. They'll just take those teams, divide them up.
What?
One will be called the Grapefruit League. That'll be ours. And then the Cactus League will be Arizona.
Come on. Is anything about this not a comic book? What is he talking about?
Okay, so then they'll play all their games here against each other in the stadiums that are here. Each team would have a designated home field, so they'll just travel around the state.
That's so stupid.
Then, okay, now, I'm not done yet. So there'll be no fans. That won't happen.
Okay, all right. At least there's some precautions being made.
And they'll test everybody once a week. That's also true. Again, nobody that's sick can get a test, but they can get a test.
I know, like all this non-essential crap is getting organized with testing as part of the plan, but the people who need the test, they're not able to get them. What are we doing?
I hate to be this negative on the Finding Florida podcast, but so anyway, as far as tourism is concerned, it would bring no tourists because yes or no how.
Yes, where's the economic impact? I don't understand.
Well, the economic impact is TV. That's where
that's true.
Is. They pay billions every year for this rights to TV, and that's what the governor said. If it goes out to national TV, we're all for it. So that's what we're looking at now. We're looking at the Grapefruit and the Cactus League
that don't put our athletes in unnecessary contact. Aren't there other ideas? Anything else? Oh my gosh. Lord,
they're going to make the dugouts 4 times as big, and they'll put little lines on them 6 feet apart. You stand here. You stand.
Yeah, and then when a fight breaks out, what'll happen? Are we just going to calm our tempers for a moment? No.
Well, although of the sports that are out there, I would say, though, that if you think about it, baseball is pretty socially distant when they're on the field.
Yeah, no, you're right.
They're really far apart.
No, you're right. You're right. However, I say again, when a fight breaks out, they're not going to stop and think about it.
What I was picturing is the umpire, after every play, has to get the ball and has a little spray bottle of alcohol and has to wipe the balls down after every play with alcohol. Okay, you can have it back now.
But that's the thing, though. It's getting thrown from one player to the next. It's like...
Well, do they have to? Each player has a little bottle of disinfectant hanging off their belt, and they have to wear masks.
And then, okay, so all right, so and then the ball gets out into the stands and oh wait, there are no participants. Oh yeah, that's right.
No.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
They took it
so
seriously.
We're fine there.
We're fine there.
This could be a comedy of errors. It really could.
Oh my Lord.
I know we're laughing, but believe me, inside we're hurting.
We are. And a lot of us around the state are hurting for all kinds of reasons. And a lot of those have to do with our core industries. And a friend of ours named Justine Griffin, a very, very good friend of ours. Well, tell everyone who she is.
Well, Justine actually is hosting one of the shows over in the Horse Radio Network. It's called the Heels Down Happy Hour, and it's a fun show, very popular show on the Horse Radio Network. And she's a horse girl, and she's also a writer over at the Tampa Bay Times. And she's been doing a ton of stories over there about the virus. And
she's exhausted.
She's a good writer, too, by the way.
She's exhausted, poor girl.
So what did you do? You got her to do an interview with us so we could make her more exhausted.
Yep, exactly. And she was so nice to come on because she wrote this very, very stirring piece. And we just asked her to come on and share that and then just talk about what's going on with coronavirus in general in Florida. So let's catch up with Justine Griffin.
Well, this is kind of a crossover interview I'm so excited about. We have Justine with us, as we mentioned earlier in the show. She is host of Heels Down Happy Hour, one of the terrific shows over on the Horse Radio Network, I might say myself. And Justine's also become a good friend of Jemmy and I's. And she has a very important job right now. She's a reporter at the Tampa Bay Times. And God, Justine, you picked a hell of a time to be a reporter.
Yeah, tell me about it.
The largest newspaper in the state covering everything.
Yeah. And you seem to be the corona reporter at this point. Did you draw the short straw, or what happened there?
Well, so at the newspaper, we all have beats, right? So specific areas that we cover. And for a long time, I was a business reporter, but I've been covering the health and medicine beat for the last 2 years. No. So naturally,
you drew the short
on me.
Yeah, you drew the short stick a long time ago. You just didn't know it. Poor girl.
What's happened? Like, it has to be crazy for you right now.
It's been very busy for sure. And, when it began, it was just trying to get your arms around it, right? Like, what is happening and how is this going to affect people in Tampa Bay and in Florida? And then as it grew, obviously it became a completely newsroom-wide effort. So I am hardly just the one person covering this. We've got political reporters who are on this full time now. We've got our whole sports section, which, with sports not happening anymore. Yeah, they've become coronavirus reporters. It's been really remarkable just to see how the whole newsroom has stepped up and had to cover this. And we're not in the newsroom physically anymore. We're all working from home. And our photographers are basically working out of their cars while they're driving around shooting life and the lack of life out around Tampa Bay. It's I've covered all kinds of things: hurricanes, disasters, shootings. I've been in the news business for 10 years now, and I've never covered anything quite like this.
I've been doing a lot of coverage over the Horse Radio Network almost daily for the last 2 months. I had to take this week off because emotionally I was getting wiped out. How are you doing emotionally?
Thank you for asking, Glenn. It's a good question. My husband is also a journalist, so together we're just, slogging our way through this, and I'm lucky to have him. But everybody I work with, we're on Slack, that messaging system, and every day someone checks in and goes, "Hey, are you okay? What do you need?" So there's been a lot of rallying support from my fellow coworkers in the newsroom, because we all can't see each other, but we're all working through all of this craziness. I will say that there is a sense of pride that comes with being a journalist, especially in a time like this, because you get a lot of emails from readers, both good and bad, people who are mad about your coverage or people who are critical of it. But in a time like this, more people reach out to say thank you and to share their gratitude that, we're sharing information that people need right now. So that I do feel that sense of pride of being part of this now in a moment where people need the news.
People do need you. And one thing we need you for is that being reporters and being part of the news and the media, you do get access to things that can then bring that information to us. And, that is so valuable. We're sitting here just confused. There's so much information of all different sides. Everything changes every single day. So to have people who, we have our frontliners, the doctors, the nurses, the grocery store clerks, everybody, but then there are also the reporters who are going there and just trying to get the information that we all need to keep ourselves safe and to mitigate the situation as best as we can. And also the information that you're able to give us is just eye-opening. So you were telling us that you've actually, because of the beat that you've covered now, you've had the opportunity to go into the labs and see firsthand what the testing looks like. And that really piqued my curiosity. What does the testing at the labs look like?
Sure. So it's a little different depending on where you go. But the first press conference that Governor Ron DeSantis held when we had our first couple of coronavirus cases pop up in Florida was in Tampa at the health department's laboratory on the University of South Florida's campus. And they have a large lab there where they could do commercial size testing. So we got to see that. And then I've also been inside a smaller lab at the Advent Health Tampa Hospital, which is a large hospital in Tampa. So the labs are different depending on where they are, right? So you're hearing a lot here in Florida. Commercial providers like LabCorp and Quest are doing, the mass majority of our COVID-19 tests. And that, in those facilities, they're running, hundreds of tests at a time. Where at the Advent Health Lab, it's a smaller operation, but it is, you walk in there and everything is as clean as you could ever imagine. And the staff there are covered head to toe in PPE as they're handling these samples. It's really interesting, but for someone who's never been in a lab, it does feel like, the lab you went to in high school, right? That's kind of what it's based off of. Like all the machine, like they have all the same kind of equipment there. And then there's just the staff that are, they're just like a well-oiled machine. They know what they're doing. They're going through all the paces, but it's what is remarkable is just to see everybody so suited up in their, in their protective equipment. That's the moment for me where I realized like, wow, this is serious.
And as a reporter, you've seen the medical front lines, but you've also seen the front lines of a different industry in Florida for different reasons, for familiar reasons. You've seen the impact firsthand on coronavirus on the restaurant industry, in particular because your father is a restaurant owner. So what has seeing that experience been like? I mean, I read your article. It was profound. It was moving. There was a part in it particular where you're talking about going there just before the restaurants got completely shut down, and you ended up helping out and delivering pies, and just watching your father's relationship with the neighborhood and the people coming in to pick up pizzas. I can only imagine what seeing your father's business handle and go through the impact of this is like. Can you share some insights on that?
Sure. So I grew up inside restaurants. My dad's owned restaurants my entire life. He lives in Pasco County in Florida, where I grew up, and he is originally from Buffalo, New York, and moved down to Florida and started his own pizza and wings restaurant, all themed around Buffalo, New York. And that's just literally where I grew up. In high school was my first job. I've delivered pizzas. I've been a waitress. And my dad is pretty close to retirement these days. His small business has survived the recession in 2008. He's survived many hurricanes. But it's just, he was worried. He was worried right away about the coronavirus shutdown, especially when our governor said that all dining rooms essentially needed to be closed and he had to rely only on takeout, which he's handled well, and the community is supporting him. But it's just such an uncertain time, and especially when he's responsible for his staff, right? So his waitresses aren't working because he can't open his dining room. And it just, he's my dad. So I just saw the impact it could have on him and my mom, and especially with them being so close to retirement. And I live here in downtown St. Petersburg, which is, a fairly vibrant young part of Florida. And we have dozens and dozens of restaurants that I can walk to from my house, and everything's closed. And I just worry, when this is all over, how many of them will actually reopen?
Right.
So we're doing our part in trying to order as much takeout as we can, because I see my dad and all of these people with their businesses here in St. Pete. But
well, let's be honest too. Horse girls aren't known for their cooking skills.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have no time to cook.
But seriously, like in 2000, when your dad stepped up and he helped after the hurricanes, he helped deliver food to people in neighborhoods and provide meals and stuff like that. So we got to remember that that's what a lot of really dedicated, community-driven restaurateurs around Florida have done. And so in the past, when we needed it, so now is the time that people like your dad need us. So if we can, as much as we, are making our trips to Publix or wherever to get groceries, also try to order out and support these restaurants, and just be patient with their efforts.
Exactly.
Okay, so that story is available at the Tampa Bay Times, and I'll note that a lot of stories that are related to the coronavirus are available right now for free at tampabay.com/coronavirus, which I think is amazing. But the Tampa Bay Times isn't the only publication where you work for and write for. Where else do you work? We mentioned it at the top. Glenn mentioned it at the top.
So I also write for Heels Down Magazine, which is an equestrian magazine, and we have our own podcast called the Heels Down Happy Hour podcast, which comes to you from the Horse Radio Network. We love being part of the Horse Radio Network, and it's such a joy. It hardly feels like work, So I work
you guys drink during the show. I mean, it's really not work.
And I'll be honest, really when I'm producing, I drink too.
Exactly. No, it's really not work. It's a ton of fun. It's just three girlfriends hanging out, talking about why they love horses so much. So if you're an equestrian, it's, we talk about all kinds of things. So there's something for everybody, I like to think. So.
Oh, there definitely is. And one of those little somethings for everybody is the Flori-bama Bushwacker. And you guys featured this drink. So that's what I love so many things about your show. But one of the things you do is you feature a drink on every episode. And so when I saw what drink you were doing on this last one, which is episode 68, I was like, oh my gosh, we have to put that as our segment for Florida Foods and feel good, so we're totally stealing it. But if you could throw it to us, but first let people know how to find you, get in touch with you, and then go ahead and throw it to the Florida Bushwacker, the Flori-bama Bushwacker.
Okay. All right. So you can find us at heelsdownmag.com, and you can also find the Heels Down Happy Hour podcast on the Horse Radio Network app or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And so, yes, our most current cocktail of the week is the Flori-bama Bushwacker. I picked it just because I needed a drink this week that was a little bit more lighthearted than, our life right now. And I live in Florida, but it's been a while since I've seen the beach. I needed a tropical drink. So if you're not familiar with the moniker Flori-bama, it is, it's basically the part of Florida that's up in the Panhandle. So the northwest side of Florida where the Alabama border meets Florida. There's a really terrible MTV reality TV show about the Flori-bama shore. You can always watch that.
You may get another virus just watching it. Just letting y'all know.
But they're known for this this blended. It's like a blended tropical drink. It is delicious.
Oh my goodness. Well, so they're going to hear all about it in the next segment, and you guys are going to hear 3 wonderful voices, including Justine's, and they're 3 girls that are just amazing. They're all from Heels Down Happy Hour. But Justine, thank you so much for coming on and talking with us today. I mean, I can't imagine what you're going through right now and dealing with and reporting on has got to be so trying. And thank you from the bottom of my heart for being there to give the information to the community that we all desperately need right now.
Oh, thank you guys. It's always good to hear your voice.
So good and tasty. Tastes good.
So I got a great Florida-inspired beverage for you guys this week. Thanks to Cassie in our Facebook group for recommending this one. It's the Flori-bama Bushwacker. I don't know if you guys watched the Flori-bama Shore, that awful MTV reality show. Don't do it. I'm not condoning this, but that's what it makes me think of. But when you think of Flori-bama, they're talking about like the northwest part of Florida where it obviously connects to Alabama. So like Pensacola and all the beaches up there. But a Bushwacker is a pretty classic and traditional Florida beverage, and it'll make you feel like you're on vacation, even though you're stuck in your home. So it is a blended drink. So think of like fruity tropical blended drink, and you're going to want
a drink.
It's delicious. It's one of those that creep up on you if you're not careful. So it's a half shot of light rum, and then another half shot of spiced rum, and then a half shot of Kahlua, if you're into that. A half shot of amaretto, a shot of creme de coco. And then you add vanilla ice cream, like 3 to 4 scoops, and a splash of milk, and you blend it all together. And you want to top it off with a cherry, and put it in a cool tropical cup. And there you go. These are good.
Exactly what I need in my life every day.
Some people add you could put half of a banana in it and blend that in too, if you like banana, or some people put some chocolate. It's like an easy drink to customize since you're just dumping everything into the blender, but they're good.
It's also something I feel like I could put in one of those smoothie containers and take with me, and no one would know that I was drinking everywhere.
This is true. Yep. It just makes me want to be on the beach though. Womp womp.
All right, Glenn. So I'm exploring through social media more than probably I have in a very long time while we're all cooped up. There's not a whole lot else to do. So this actually came across my feed from the Miami Herald, and I thought it was absolutely spot on and hilarious. They put out this story. It's called Stop Fighting at Costco. Here's how to avoid being the worst person in quarantine. So I thought this would be funny for us to go through and actually admit how many of these we're each guilty of. So could see which one of us is the worst person in quarantine, Glenn. All right. So starting off from the top, number 1, don't throw a party. Now, I know we're in Florida and there was a lot of chatter about the spring breakers who were going to the club, but I have not thrown nor been to a party. Have you?
No, I haven't seen another human except for my neighbors when they're out in the yard.
I was going to say your neighbors had quite the party last night.
And I was, we had a lot of Florida man stories in our front. We live in the middle of nowhere at the end of a dead end street, and we had more police here yesterday. It was like, crazy.
Well, you can't you got to give a couple of details, just a little bit, please.
I don't know. They chased the guy down. They had all kinds of police, and the dog took him out right in front of our house.
And apparently you told me that there was all this chaos for what looked like one singular event, and then you went and laid down, and you woke up at a whole other level of chaos.
A whole other level of chaos, and we live like in the middle of nowhere. We don't see a cop in our neighborhood ever.
So this is not officially our Corona Crazy segment. That's for later in the show. But
although we are thinking about having a socially distant picnic with some of our neighbors.
Oh,
where we get together and we all sit like 6-8 feet apart. We all bring our own food and we just talk.
There you go. Kind of like Vicky Sosa and I were joking about doing, about going and grabbing food and sitting in our cars, separate cars, and talking to each other.
Yes.
That's fantastic. Okay. Well, if you do have to venture out into public and be amongst the other people, other humans, whatever you do, we're all going nuts right now. Do not start fights at Walmart. Okay. It's not possible. We already talked about this with wrestling. It's not possible to socially distance from someone when you have him in a headlock. It's just not possible. Don't start fights at Walmart. Don't start fights at Costco. Just don't start fights anywhere. Okay. Including Twitter, including in the comments underneath this show. Okay. Don't start fights anywhere.
Isn't it the requirement when you sign up for Twitter? It's in the terms of service that you have to be mean and fighty.
Probably.
Yeah. I disagree totally with the next one, by the way.
Oh, and I'm totally not shocked, especially because I'm still hearing flack about not taking you to the bikini-clad beaches when we went to South Beach. So what's the next one, Glenn?
And look, there's never going to be a bikini-clad beach again. And look, you ruined it for me. My life is ruined because of you.
All right. So he's upset because he disagrees with number 5, which says, wear a bra for office Zoom meetings. I mean, come on, guys. I know we're in the comfort of our own homes, but there's a level that it just becomes inappropriate. Wear your bra.
I saw a survey the other day. 35% of people say they're not wearing pants during the Zoom meeting.
I'm in my pajamas right now. How about you?
I'm dressed. I get up and go to work.
Oh, well, yeah. You walk 5 feet to your studio.
Well, see, the difference is we have animals to take care of, so we actually have to go outside.
That's true. You'll get seen by your neighbors. Yeah. No, I am in my pajamas. I came back from my walk this morning, took a shower, went right back into my pajamas. All right, next one up. This is actually so appropriate for another story we're going to hear a little later in the show. Learn how to put on a mask. You have to wear a mask in public now. So here's a helpful hint. It goes over your nose, not under it. Okay, come on. I haven't seen anyone with their mask under it. I know I have not worn my mask. Actually, I haven't worn a mask. Have you?
Yes. When I was out the other day, I had to stop at the store where they bring it out to your car. And I would say 3/4 of the people were wearing masks, except ironically, the 2 people from the hardware store who brought the stuff out.
Oh, boy.
Which I thought was kind of funny because they work at a hardware store.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. If anyone should have masks ready to go before the public even has access, then that's them. That's true. I haven't had a mask on yet in public because I haven't ventured out in public since the last time we recorded. But I'm actually going to have to go on my first grocery run since we last recorded after this recording now. So I have masks at the ready. And hopefully I'll remember to put them over my nose, not under it.
Our kind neighbor, though, is making masks for the whole neighborhood. So she's sewing fancy ones up.
Oh, wow.
So we'll have fancy masks.
Oh, cute. Ask her to make you one with horses on it. Pony.
No, it has chickens on it. Oh. She couldn't find horses. So apparently it's going to have chickens, which I think is perfect. Well, the next couple are all about the same. So it says here for hardcore bikers, that's me. Remember, other people exist. For casual bikers,
right,
remember,
relax.
other people exist.
Hardcore for you is in quotes. You have an electric bike, all right? Just
I know,
saying.
but for runners, remember that other people exist. And for walkers, remember that other people exist. I have a problem with number 7. The hardcore bikers one, because I am a hardcore biker. I just get a little assistance. So with my electric bike, and I got to tell you right now, there's no cars in our neighborhood, and I can go about 25 miles an hour the entire time, and it is so much fun now.
Let me tell you, the golden nuggets of this article are what the author wrote, like in between and underneath each one. So for the hardcore bikers, he wrote, "This is not the Tour de France. It's a park in Kendall. Stop trying to break the land speed record."
I will
I think
say
that's
that
true
when I
all
go
around,
by,
always, not only during quarantine.
when I go flying by people who are walking dogs, I do slow down because I know that the dog is gonna go right to the end of the leash,
That's
and one of these
true.
days it's gonna be right in front of my bike.
And one of these days,
So-
the leash is going to break.
Yeah, so that's why I do slow down there. Although, have you noticed how many people are out walking now? I have never seen this many people in our neighborhood out walking.
Yes, I'm walking all the time, always, and now I'm seeing more and more people doing it too. It's the one reason we have to go outside. It's so
Now, are
sad.
people avoiding you? Are you avoiding each other?
Yeah,
by
we
6
always
feet?
space
Yeah.
each other. Yeah, it's there's a nice walk path, and so each of us will kind of bow out away from the path a few feet and then come back in after we pass.
So it's not like the grocery store, they have put one-way lanes down yet?
No, it's not a one-way walk path, not yet. All right, so this next one is so true. And let me tell you, I think you're going to appreciate this, Glenn, because I remember the first time I ever came to visit you. And one of the first things you warned me about was, as quiet and lovely and serene as your farm is, when the lights go out, the neighbors start to play, as you were reminded of last night, apparently. So people, take heed. Don't, even with the pandemic, don't start a DJ set on your balcony. It's not okay. Okay? Nobody needs to hear it. Now, if it's an organized thing and you can somehow like warn people, or everyone's with it and jamming with you, then okay, let's have a party. But don't just at 3:00 in the morning start a DJ set on your balcony. Nobody wants to hear that.
And that's referencing my neighbor right here.
Oh, yeah. Next up, dispose of gloves and masks properly. If you remember from the last episode when I read the post from the Nextdoor app, wow, she got heated. Barbara was pissed because she kept finding rubber gloves all over the place. So yeah, don't leave them around. And as the author of the article wrote, you're the worst.
So the next one is try not to buy up all the flour. Everybody in the world, there's 2 kinds of people now, and I'm anxious to see what happens with this. So everybody in the world has decided to take up baking and making their own bread. So, I mean, literally everybody on my Facebook page is trying to make bread now. So you can't find
Bread?
flour anywhere. It's completely gone in the stores.
What? That
You
is
wouldn't know
so
anything about that. I
weird.
don't think you've ever baked anything. So
the authors of this random chapter in world history would not have predicted a run on toilet paper and flour. I don't understand.
I can't. Well, and a lot of people now, I know which category you fall in, but I think there's 2 categories of people. There's the category that it really ate out all the time and got takeout all the time, who are now forced to cook, and they're going, hey, I can actually make stuff. This isn't so bad.
That's not
And
me.
maybe after quarantine is over, they'll continue cooking.
That's not
And then
me.
there's the other group who are trying it, not succeeding very well, and cannot wait to eat out every night. So I think there's going to be those 2 groups.
And then there's me, who still refuses to try it and is getting frozen food and pasta.
And nothing has changed in Jimmy's
Nothing
life.
has changed. But yeah, don't hoard the
Oh,
toilet.
and then the
Yep,
next one.
you do.
You haven't been on Facebook as long as as much as I have. There's so many posts, people posting on Facebook saying, "Oh, this quarantine's not so bad. I'm enjoying it."
Oh my God.
That was okay for the first couple of weeks, but now that we're a month going on 2 months in,
Gain
that's
some
going to get old.
perspective. No, this is not the time. Even your own, think about it. Everybody is affected by this. So there are people in your own immediate circle who are going to be very turned off by a post like that from you. So stop. and instead spread the love. And that means two ways. Don't hoard toilet paper, okay? In fact, I've had people donate toilet paper to me in the last week.
Who would be one of those?
A wonderful person named Glenn, because they knew I was out. You sent me some. My dad dropped off some. See, this is an act of love and kindness right now, guys. Don't hoard the toilet paper. Spread it around.
I got up at 4 a.m. to buy that toilet paper for you all, you know. Literally.
Well, my bum appreciates it. And someone else who appreciates you spreading some love, or anybody who is bringing you food or delivering toilet paper or delivering anything else that you can't go out and get yourself. So be sure to tip everybody who's running around like crazy to bring you your essentials and even non-essentials. I know people are still buying whatever they want at this time still, but tip everybody. They're really out there working hard. So that is the list from the Miami Herald on how to avoid being the worst person in quarantine. Your friends at the Florida Podcast Network want to use our platform to keep us all informed and connected. And while these conversations are greatly needed right now, and we hope they are helping you get through this trying time, we are podcast hosts, not experts in coronavirus or any other kind of medical issue. Please consult and follow the CDC's guidelines at cdc.gov. That's cdc.gov. Then please visit floridapodcastnetwork.com/coronavirus for some additional resources and ways to connect to your local community. With social distancing being our call to arms, we need to feel more connected than ever. So by visiting floridapodcastnetwork.com/coronavirus, you will help us all get through this with additional resources and ways to connect. Stay safe and healthy, and wash those hands.
Different kinds of animals need different kinds of habitats. And here in Florida, we have a variety of lands that offer a home to animals of all kinds.
So you want to hear what two very naive people sound like, Glenn?
Who are those people?
Just roll the clip. Hey guys, it is Jemmy and Glenn, and we are headed into... Where are we going?
We're going to Big Cat Rescue.
Woohoo! We're so excited.
Well, I remember that day that we were in Tampa. And I think it was my bright idea to go there too, by the way.
It sure was. And everybody I told that we were going there was so excited. Oh my gosh, we love that place. And da, 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 da. So, you know.
That's why we went. My friends from Tampa, our podcasting friends said to go there.
Yes, exactly. And truth be told, we had a great time. We had a fantastic day.
With one of the overworked volunteers, apparently.
Oh my goodness. But that's all we're going to say about that. Other than to also add that we made a joke at 3 minutes and 42 seconds into the episode. Now, this is Finding Florida episode 7C, and we'll put a link in the show notes. So you'll be able to find it really easy. But we made a joke at 3 minutes and 42 seconds into it that at the time seemed extremely innocent. But now, after watching the very popular show, everyone is just shocked over and on Netflix and can't stop watching and talking about in quarantine. The joke.
Well, what show is it?
Tiger King.
Okay, we went to, and that episode was all about Big Cat Rescue. As a matter of fact, we had such a good time there. We did an entire episode.
We did. And so now but you and I have started now watching Tiger King, and catching up on the episodes. And now that we're doing that, like, the joke now feels super weird. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have you, Glenn, just take a listen to the joke right now, right here.
Okay.
But just so you're the only one who's going to hear it. I just want to capture your reaction. So, Glenn, please go ahead and take a listen to that clip.
All right.
The look on your face is amazing.
Oh my God. I can't believe I said that.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, Well, and my layup too was like I'm the one who first put the suggestion in your head, and then you said what you said. I mean, oh my goodness. So yeah, 3 minutes and 42 seconds, people. That's all I have to say. You're going to have to go and hear it for yourself.
Episode again?
7C, which brings me to the second thing I'll say. Yeah, the link is in the show notes. So episode 7C in the show notes. We went to Big Cat Rescue. If you're a fan of Tiger King, man, it's not to be missed.
We were so naive. We didn't know any of this stuff.
We didn't know anything.
I can't believe I said that.
I laughed so hard at your face right now that I spit on my screen.
Can't believe I said that.
I know.
Go, 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 go.
Okay, time to head into a couple of stories we've been accidentally teasing throughout the rest of this episode. So a bit of Corona crazy that a lot of us are having the joy of experiencing right now is Zoom bombing. Are you familiar with this, Glenn?
No.
Okay. Oh, well, then you're very lucky. So Zoom bombing is essentially when people have to go into a Zoom meeting and then someone random breaks into the meeting for nefarious reasons. And it could be to just be silly and derail things. It could be to be inappropriate, to all the extremes, right? Well, apparently the kids all experiencing school from home now via Zoom, they're not spared from the experience. Here's the story from CBS 12.
Working from home and interacting over video conference is the new normal for a lot of us. But for Claudia Reyes' son, learning with his fellow fourth graders in a conference classroom didn't go as planned.
He was logged in. I was doing the dishes. Then I started hearing like bad words. So I'm like, what's going on? Are you on class or you're on something else? And he's like, no, I'm on the class.
Concerned about what she was hearing, she ran over to the laptop. And that's when she says she saw a pornographic video playing on the screen.
I put my hand on the side of the screen so he wouldn't see anything. But I could see the other kids' faces. They were like shocked.
Similar to photo bombing, this new trend is called Zoom bombing. A stranger gets on to the conference call and derails it, but it can be hard to figure out who that person is and how to shut it down.
At first, I didn't know what to do. My first reaction was to cover the screen, but then I closed the laptop, but I could still hear them.
Zoom says it went from 10 million users last year to nearly 200 million by last month, as the pandemic pushed more people online. And while they were focused on the influx, the company says it, quote, fell short on privacy and security expectations.
I mean, the kids are already going through a lot, like having to do this from home. And then this on top of that, it's crazy.
Zoom now says there are several ways you can protect your meetings. Never publicly share the personal meeting ID. Only allow signed-in users to join via an email invite, and lock the meeting down completely to outsiders once everyone is in.
Crazy, right?
I would have killed for that when I was in junior high.
Well, the problem is it's not just junior high and above that's on these Zoom meetings. I have an 8-year-old. I do not need him seeing pornography all of a sudden in a Zoom meeting during class. Like, that's just... No pun intended. That's nuts.
None of this stuff ever happened when I was a kid. Jeez. I feel deprived now. I really do.
Oh, you were deprived of a lot of things, Mr. Stone Age. But by the way, fun fact, CBS 12 was the news network where our own Suzanne Boyd from People of Palm Beach was an anchor for 20 years. So they're still doing amazing coverage, as you can hear. But wow, I don't know what I would have done in that moment. I would have completely freaked out, frozen in place, and then waited for the world to start spinning again. I don't know. But oh my goodness. All right. So aside from Zoom bombing, something else a lot of us are dealing with is the scramble to find masks or to find creative ways to make our own. Like you mentioned, the woman in your neighborhood is making cute ones. Yeah, with chickens on them. Well, desperation is the mother of invention. And I saw this on my friend Jared's feed just after we recorded last week's episode, and it was amazing. His post said, "Here's a little humor in these crazy times. We just pulled up to the grocery store and my wife was about to get out of the car when she froze and began cracking up. And then her phone rang. Crazy funny. Please excuse my wife's language. LOL. Also know her gloves are clean. Da, 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 da. So she's wearing gloves. So he's preempting any comments about her glove use, I guess, in the video. But as the clip unfolds in the beginning, my friend Jared's wife is just getting out of the car. Her phone starts ringing at the same time she notices what's going on around them. She then draws Jared's attention to it, answers her phone, and then relays it to the unsuspecting person on the other side of the line. You got to hear this.
Please look at it. Look, please look. Are you getting the crotch area?
It's on her face.
On her face.
Yes.
Please.
She's got underwear on her head.
Hey, I'm sitting here in this parking lot, and there is a woman, I shit you not, with grandma panties on her head with the crotch down the middle of her face as a mask.
Why don't I ever see the good stuff? I always miss the good stuff.
Let me tell you the glee I had when I realized, because when you see these videos, you assume, at least I do, I always assume that this isn't a firsthand account. This is something that they saw somewhere else. They reposted it. When I realized the voices, when I heard the voices, I realized, oh no, this was him. He actually witnessed this. I was dying laughing. I said, can I share this? He's like, yes. Well, all right. Then the video continues.
As she puts away her groceries. Could you imagine the cashier trying to be serious?
Are you hearing me right now?
I got a great video of this. I'm going to put it on Facebook.
Please do. Please do. Please do.
That's awesome.
She has a granny bed.
Look at this kid. He's looking at her. He's like, wow. Don't do that. I don't want the airbag to pop.
How can I help you today?
All right, you earned it, Glenn. Go ahead and open up the pic to see this masterpiece of innovation for yourself.
Oh my God. She really does. She's wearing gloves. She's got the granny panties, and they're being held up on the front by her glasses. She has them draped over the side of her glasses.
So her glasses, each side of her glasses, each lens like pokes through a butt cheek. Oh it's amazing. And I'm totally putting these pictures up for you all to see too in the show notes. Because it's amazing. Now, take heed, okay? Just don't end up like this Florida woman.
Okay, can I also, because I have to, the gloves, they're only good if you use them and then take them off before you touch your wallet, which she's holding in her hand.
People don't understand. They think they're magic gloves, Glenn. They think they're magic gloves.
Everything the gloves touch is... Oh, God. I'm so depressed now. Although I would have paid to see this particular one. Oh my God.
All right, head to the show notes for the pictures.
I'd like to say only in Florida, but
no, it's probably not. Probably not.
No. Well, thanks for coming along with us once again as we continue finding Florida, even in the midst of this outbreak.
During this time, we at FPN will be doing everything we can to keep our community's spirits up. We'll be sharing loads of content across all of our shows to get through this time together. And please also join us in our Facebook group, FPN Insiders. Head over there and check out the Facebook Live we all did to check in on everybody and share some fun announcements. It was a good time.
Then head to floridapodcastnetwork.com/coronavirus for resources and information local to you, ideas for the inside, coping while cooped up, and more. That's at floridapodcastnetwork.com/coronavirus.
If you know of cool news, especially of the positive or extra goofy sort, to help lighten our moods through all this, please email it to us here at Jaime, Jaime, at floridapodcastnetwork.com. And even with social distancing, you can still hang out with us on social media. So I'll mention it once again. Search for Find FL Podcast and connect on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook.
And here's to your next Florida adventure from the comfort of your couch in your living room.
Due to coronavirus,